In this video, we're going to explore how you can create in JavaScript a very simple dark mode. Right now you can see here we have this button here, and if I click on this or the switch here in Bootstrap, and if I click on this, we eventually will have a design here. And this is a very straightforward process, and it's quite easy to do once you know how. So let's start and explore how to do this. What we want to do basically is this. The moment we click on this, you can see the background color starts to become dark, and normally with the dark mode you could do more things here regarding to all the CSS. However, we will not focus on that so much. We just focus on the background color and adjust the text here. That's the only thing we're going to do, because we're going to make it very straightforward. Once you understand how this works, you will probably very easy to pick up the remaining parts of it, as it's very consistent with each other. So let's start and explore how to do this. So alright, I have here this empty file here. I'll save this, and if I refresh this, this will be eventually gone. So I'll just refresh this, and there you are. So we are now starting from scratch. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to go to Bootstrap. We're going to make the design what we have. Basically the text, there will be a green background, there will be a card and a switch. And the switch basically the moment you click on it, or that's what we have to do, but there will be a switch in there. Alright, so let's start. The first thing that we're going to do is here, we're going to Bootstrap, and this is Bootstrap 5, which is a very nice one. They have a nice switch ready in here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to get the basic template here, the starter template. So once you go to getbootstrap.com, scroll down halfway, and then you'll find here the starter template. And that's the one I want. I will copy this, move this test here, and then we have all of this here. So we paste this in here, and I'm going to remove all of this text here. This is all comment out, not necessary for us right now. We just keep it clean. It's alright. Everything else here is fine. So we have this. We have here up our Bootstrap here, and that is fine. We can leave that CSS code in here. We don't need much more. The only thing we can do here is maybe a test, or what is it? Dark mode in JavaScript. And what I'm going to do here is we're going to give the body a background color. So we say a class equal double quotation, and then we put in the class color. So that's BG success. That's the default color, because that will be green. So once we reload the page, it should be green by default. And if customers want a dark mode, they can check mark it, and then once they check mark it, the background will become dark. All right. So we have this, and this I will just ignore. And what we're going to do here is we're going to make the same design. So I say here a card design. So basically in here, if I refresh this, oh, it doesn't work yet. If I save it and refresh, all right. What we want to do here is we want to make a column, and this column has a offset of 2, and everything here in the center is like 8 columns in size. The width is 8 columns, and the offset here is 2, and here also will be 2. Alright, so we're going to do that. So we say here div class, and then we put in here column, or column dash 8 for the 8 in size, and then we say offset 2. And once we did that, let me remove that, and once we did that, put in the div here. We're almost done. Let's save this, and once we save this, you won't be seeing anything, which is of course makes sense. And the reason why it doesn't show anything, because we didn't put any design in here. So if we put in here a card, let's put in a card here. So div class equal cards, not a div for closing, and then between here we're going to put in the card body. And in the card body we will just use the same text here as above. We put it in here. So we say a div class card body, and then within here, we're going to say, we're going to create a H5 with this text here, dark mode in JavaScript. Alright. Then I will put in here a horizontal line. So once we have this and save this, let's refresh. You can see it has something, but not fully. I want to push this a bit more down. And to do that, we're going to make a margin here. We say margin Y-5. So there will be a top and bottom margin of about 20 to 30 pixels. Alright, so that looks beautiful. So we have this now, and then we can put it in here now, our toggle switch. So what we're going to do here is we go back to Bootstrap and we go down here and we can check if it's in the form. I'm not sure if it's in the form. Let's search here. Cannot find it. So what we do is we just search here. We type in switch or switches. As you can see here in the documentation, check and radio switches. Just click on that. And once you click on it, it automatically jumps here. That's quite high tech. So that's very nice. Copy this part here. This is one of the default switches. And sadly enough, it's only blue. We can adjust it with CSS, but I will not spend any time on CSS. We're going to adjusting this because we're going to focus on the JavaScript. All right. So once here, we just paste this piece of code. And in here, all we are going to adjust is the following. We will type in dark mode on, and the reason why, by default, the dark mode is set on off. So let's save this. Go back here. Go back here. There we are. All right. So once we click on this, it has a nice effect here. So we're getting close to it. Now we have our basic HTML design. There could be still some more because if you have noticed it, I had still another text there showing you if you are interested in Chart.JS. Well, I'll explain it later on, maybe if you want to learn about Chart.js, but let's focus on this for now. In here, we're going to work with the script. So we're going to say here script or the JavaScript part. So this here now is where it all starts. All right, so what we need to do is the following. We need to understand what we're going to do, and that is basically this. The moment we click on this, what will happen is the background should become a new color. So what we're going to do here is we're going to adjust that. So in here, the first thing that we're going to do is we need to pinpoint certain items. We need to adjust the body, or we'll pinpoint the body. We can give it an ID, or we can just say body body tag, the tag name body. That's one or the other. So let's start and do the basics, which is here trying to work on the label here. The moment we click here, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this text starts to adjust. So what we can do here is ID, and I will say here, this is label dark mode label. So that's the first ID. So that if you click on this, we want to make sure that the dark mode will be on or off depending on check or not check. So we need to check that. Next one is, we have to see here, this one here, this is the input. So I will say here ID dark mode switch, which is the switch to activate. So the moment this is checked, at that moment, we have, we will show the design of it. So, or basically we will trigger the text or the background color. And if I look here very carefully, I know that this one here has a double ID. So I'm going to delete this ID here because that will be redundant. This one here should be adjusted with this here. So this is for basically this. There you are. So for the dark mode switch here. All right. So we got this here. Let's start and create our constants. So we have our constant, and our constant here, the first one will be dark mode switch. All right, equals, and then say document.get element by ID. And what is our ID? Well, in this case, it is dark mode switch. Oh, just put it in between here. There you are. Another one is the dark mode label. So we say here constant dark mode label equals, almost similar to this, just adjust this one with the dark mode switch. So what we really did here is basically we create a connection with this and JavaScript. So basically this is our HTML, and now our HTML is now able to connect with JavaScript. All we have to do now is to make sure that we have a trigger. And what is the trigger? Is basically the click. So we can say here on dark mode switch dot add event listener. So basically what you want to do is you want to create, you want to call, it will call the event or trigger it. What will trigger the event? Well, in our case, if we click on the switch, we turn it on or check it. So the moment we click, so we say you click, in that moment, we should activate dark mode or dark mode. And this dark mode here is going to be our function. So once we click, trigger or fire up dark mode function. And we're going to do the same with the label. And the reason we're doing that is because if we click anywhere here, that's the most important one. So if we would click on label, let me show you here. If you click here, you see it's activated, but this is not the switch. If you click here, it's specifically the switch, and this one is specifically the span or the label of the switch, but they're connected because of the for tag here. This is the reason why this is being connected with the input ID or input checkbox. Alright, so that's very important to remember. So we have here click dark mode, alright, and in this we should be not dark mode switch but dark mode label. So we've got this now. Now we can start to create our function. So we say function dark mode. And then in this function we are now going to trigger what we want. Well, we say first we have to make sure we have an if statement. Once we have the if statement, we can start to check. So what we're going to do here is, what happened? What we want to do, once it's clicked, we want the if statement. You say if. Well, what happened if? If clicked, alright. And then we say if dark mode switch checked, right, dot checked. So dark mode switch dot checked equals, yes, we can do it with triple because it's true or not true. This is a strict version, strict equal. If this is checked and we say false, or we can say or true, we can say here dark mode off. And else, if, and let me explain here why dark mode switch check is true. We can do false, maybe it's more better. If false, then we say turn it on, right? So if it's not checked, turn it on. Else, dark mode off. And what we have to do here now is basically the following. We have to put in here the command to connect the label. And then we say here label, oh sorry, dark mode label. And then we say dot inner text equals, well, what does it equal? Well, basically this text here. Alright, so we want to insert in the label now a new text which is called dark mode on. So if it's false, and if you would click on it, it would turn it on. So we can do the same here, and we do this here, and we say here dark mode off. Alright, so once we've got this, we can now start to check. If we save and refresh, see what happened. Alright, as you can see here now, it works nicely. It's on and off. So now what we have to do is another one, which is the color. And the color here, specifically here, is the body tag. So in here, we can say here, document get tag, let's see, tag name. Alright, that's the one. Document.tag name body. Alright, and which body we want? We want the first one in the array because there's only one body here. So we want the first one. If you have like a blog like WordPress where it loops to multiple, this would have multiple bodies. So that's why this is the one. So we say tag name body. And then here what we say is dot class name equals, well, what are we going to add up? We're going to add up the following class name. We have here the BG success by default. And that's here as well because it's still turned off. The moment you click on it, at that moment it becomes dark. So we can copy this one now and put it in here as well. Let's paste this in here. Document get tag name body. And then here class name dark. Save this. Refresh. And now, as you can see, something is not working. So we have to double check here what's going on. Might be that this something has something incorrect. Alright, I double checked and I realized it is incorrect because I don't have the right one. Get elements. by tag name. So this is the one we need. Sorry about that. Not get tag name. That's very close to it. However, this is the right one. Get elements by tag name. So once we save this, refresh, and now as you can see, once we click on it, we turn it on, and now if we click on it, it will be off. So bam, it becomes green again. And this is basically what you see on the side here, something like this. Very straightforward. However, it's not that complicated to make. And you might argue, well, this is not really 100% dark mode because then the text should be white and this should be also dark. You're correct. You're absolutely right. You can fine tune this by making it better. For example, here, dark mode, and then we could pinpoint the specific cards, give it another ID, or connect it. However, if you understand the core here, you'll get this very quick. And this is basically how you work with dark modes and how you use that in JavaScript to create a more interactive website design. So if you like videos like this, subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions regarding to this, put them in the comment section below. And before I forget, that's what I told you already before, but I want to say, if you're interested in Chart.JS, check out my Chart.JS course on Udemy, where you can find the link in the description box below.